Are you in need of a new liver? Do you realize that 15,000 people in the United States are on the list for a liver transplant? Now, if you're on this list, I want to share some information that I think could be very beneficial to you in the meantime as you're waiting to get your new liver. Now, the good news, the very cool thing about the liver is that the liver cells have a huge tolerance for injury. They have a massive capacity for repairing and regrowing. The liver has some key functions. One is a biochemical defense against toxic chemicals. It makes certain proteins. One protein has a function of carrying cholesterol through the body. Another protein carries oxygen through the blood. Another protein will help you clot. Okay, so if you're bleeding, the liver makes bile, it makes vitamins, and it's very, very important in brain health. If there is liver damage, it can affect your brain. It can actually cause dementia. Now, there's three things that destroy a liver. Number one, inflammation. Number two, a fatty liver. Number three, scar tissue. They call that cirrhosis. And many times you start out with a fatty liver, and then you get inflammation, and then you get scar tissue. Sometimes you start with inflammation, and then you develop a fatty liver, and then you roll right into fibrosis. And other times you might just have inflammation and then roll right into fibrosis. So there's different stages that can occur. And what happens in this process, the liver starts to enlarge. And when it enlarges, it can cause referral pain to your right shoulder or your neck, right up through here. And it can also start reducing your function, so you can't make bile, and then that backs up and it creates more liver damage. There's so many things that can go wrong with the liver. Now, the question is this: at what stage can the liver no longer recover? I have had patients come in my office that were on the transplant list, waiting for a new liver, that were able to regenerate their livers to a point where they didn't need to be on that list. Now, I'm not going to say that that is going to be your situation because you don't know, but many times when you're on the list, they don't really tell you what to do to help improve the situation to possibly reverse the damage. And what we're talking about is reducing the damage with the fat, reducing the damage with the scar tissue, and reducing the inflammation of the liver. But you know what? It's worth a shot because the liver is highly resilient, okay? It bounces back. So what is the most important thing you need to know? Do you change the fat in your diet? Do you go to a low-fat diet? Do you go to a high-fat diet? Do you reduce your carbs? Do you reduce your proteins? What's the most important thing you can do? It's lowering your carbohydrates, okay? Why? Because all three things, inflammation, fatty liver, and scar tissue of the liver can be created by a high carbohydrate diet. So lowering your carbohydrates is the most important thing you can do. I'm going to put some links down below of some interesting studies that show that by reducing your carbs to 20 grams per day can result in shrinking the enlarged liver and also reducing fat on the liver and improving the function of your liver. So that's the most important thing. And if you are new to my channel, I put a link down below of the exact plan that you need to do. And that is called healthy keto with intermittent fasting. You need to do them both together because both a low-carb diet and intermittent fasting can dramatically reduce the inflammation and can also help reverse some of the scar tissue as well as take the fat off the liver. Going on a low-carb diet is the most important thing to remove the fat off the liver despite eating more fat. In the study that I listed down below, they actually compared a low-carb to a low-fat diet, and the low-carb significantly showed better improvements. Then the second thing you want to do is make sure that your fats are a little bit higher, but make sure the fats are omega-3 fatty acids, olive oil, fats that are high in lecithin, like egg yolks. That would be very smart. And I would make sure that you're not doing a lot of omega-6 fatty acids because that creates inflammation, okay? And it's totally okay to do the saturated fats as long as your carbs are low. Now, as far as protein goes, you can go moderate protein to on the lower side. Okay, I wouldn't do the high protein if the liver is bad, but a moderate amount of protein to something a little bit lower. And in the link down below, you'll learn all about that. But this low carb thing is the most important thing. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but just think about this for a second. High carb increases more oxidative stress. It creates more inflammation. It causes more conversion of those carbs to fat around your liver. It causes insulin resistance, which leads to a fatty liver, and the conversion of inflammation to scar tissue or fibrosis. So if you're waiting on the transplant list, don't do nothing. Do this plan. Hey, before you go, if you're benefiting from any of my content, I would love to hear about your success story. Please share it in the link down below.